Here's the question. How do you make the impossible possible? Simple. Remove the I am, the ego. Now, how do you step into that newfound possibility? With a series of small intentional steps. Never forget, the greatest among us started from humble beginnings. But to truly unlock your potential, realize you're here for something greater. If you're yearning for more than just a good life, let's take that small step together to reach greatness. Welcome to the Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast, where we're talking to those who have gone from mediocrity to motivated, overlooked to overachieving, forgettable to unforgettable. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday morning to you all. Thank you for tuning back in. Well, I shouldn't say happy Monday morning. You could be listening to this anytime, but it launches typically on Monday mornings. So there you go. I love these decisions that I've been going through. This is decision number 4. I got a special personal story that goes with it. Please go back and listen to, of course, all of my podcasts, but please go back and listen to the first 3 decisions, so the 3 prior weeks to this right here. That'd be great. I think you're going to love it. I say almost every week that greatness is what we're about. Greatness is what God's about. He wants us to be great. There's a passage of scripture, 1 Chronicles 29, and it's a prayer of David. He's thanking God, and it starts out that yours, O Lord, is the greatness. And then he said, it's the power and the glory, the victory and the majesty. And it goes on several lines later. It says, in your hand it is to make great and give strength to all. And that is what he wants to do. And what David is saying in that prayer is, you have done that for us, the children of Israel. And anyway, it was a perfect timing for this prayer, and the poetry in what was done there in 2 Chronicles, the Bible, 2 Chronicles 29, verse 11 through 13 are the verses I'm talking about. But if you keep reading before and after, this is not long before he dies, and he passes the kingdom to Solomon. And God did a lot in that time frame. That being said, decision number 4, is that the way that they're phrased? Yeah, this decisions for success. This is decision number 4. That's great. So let me start out with a story. Rather than the last few weeks, I've been reading it first. Let me start out with a story. Recently, I ran a 50K. Okay, the thing behind the 50K, that's 31.3 miles. I ran a 50K. The reason I did that is because I have sons and a daughter-in-law that do these ultra marathons. And I committed, my wife and I both committed years ago. And in particular me, I gave up a lot when we had a lot of kids. I had started having kids early. I gave up a lot of the fun stuff that a lot of my friends were having with their kids, because they had 1, 2, and 3 kids, and I had 4, 5, 6, and then finally 7. And a business that took a lot of time. I was never a great businessman, so I couldn't do some of these concepts of people nowadays. They're saying, oh, take your time back and whatever, get more organized. And I just couldn't see all of that at the time. And back then, back in what I call the olden days for me, there was no help for me really to do that. And that not necessarily 100% true, but not necessarily from a systems and processes standpoint. Didn't come natural for me or those around me that could have helped me. So I gave up a lot of things to have that life to supply for my family. And in giving that up, we made a deliberate decision that as our kids grew up and as our kids got older, and even in the junior high and teens, by then I had an established business and I had a rhythm, and I could take a half a day off. I could take some time off and sometimes do the what are they called, field trips, and I could go to the wrestling tournaments in the afternoons and all day Saturdays, and I wasn't working very many Saturdays back then. It became more intentional as I went along, but we had decided then that every opportunity we had, we and I in particular as their dad, I would engage in anything they had going. Um, Obviously the moral and ethical stuff and the stuff that it was good to engage in, the sports and any of that. And so later in life here, about 6 or 7 years ago, some of my kids started getting into running. So about I think it's a little more than 5 years ago now, late night 2019, I ran a 5K. And so that's how this all started. I ran a 5K and I just ran a 50K. So I just 10 times what I started out by doing. And discovered then that's like, okay, I can do that. And my kids, these kids are going to do longer runs, and I want to be able to pace them and be helpful as part of their crew and these kinds of things. And that means running some of my own. So when I was running this 50K, I had trained for the distance, no problem. I felt like I was in shape and I could do it. But what I discovered, it's 2 rounds around a lake that is here in Oregon. Those of you that want to look it up, it's called Hagg Lake, Hagg. And it was, it started out, somewhat flat. But what happened, you go around a rural lake and what you're going to find is hills. And the pathway was very hilly. And I had not, and the course started out with a 1 mile hill. And I didn't have to do that on the second round. And so the first round around the lake was like 17 and a half miles, more than half. And then I went back and we did just around a round around the lake after that, the other 15-ish. So I start in on this. I walk this main hill near the end, most of it anyway, fast walk, which is pretty normal when you're doing ultras, a lot of walking. And so then I'm with a group, okay, while I'm doing the first round around the lake, and there's hills. And so this group is pushing me at a pace that is a little more than I'm comfortable doing. But I went for miles doing that, miles and miles. And then it gets near the end of that first loop, getting close, probably 14 miles in, 13 miles in. Then the guys that were with me, they start leaving me. They go now ahead. They're younger and they're more vivacious, and most of them have trained and done this a lot more. And it's fine with me that they're doing that. And so they kind of, after the last aid station, which is about 3.5 miles from the finish line, they just kind of disappear. And that's fine. I really preferred, what I found out is that I prefer my own pace anyway. But then, man, that right as I was heading into that aid station, they had already kind of taken off. Didn't even see him at that aid station. I was kind of in my head, like, there is a lot of hills here. Should I really? I'm only 3.5 miles in from the midway point, which was the beginning and the end. So the cars are there. Like, I could have stopped. That would have been a natural place to stop, but that's at that midpoint. And should I do that? Because I did not train for these hills. And that's what kept going through my head over and over and over again. And then I got into the aid station and noticed they weren't there. And I'm like, okay, I'm on my own and I need to figure this out. Like, I need to figure out what I'm doing. And something inspired me. It had to do with this decision number 4 for success. It's titled, I Have a Decided Heart. And I hadn't read it in a while, but I knew I had it in my phone because I put it and the other 6 decisions in my notes. And I'm like, the story behind it, which I won't get into, I really suggest you reach out to me and I'll give you the name of the book. We'll have a dialogue about it. But it's in a book. And I had read the book, listened to the book several times, also had read it, was in my notes and I pulled it up and read part of it. I was like, oh man, this is what I needed right now. And but it had been resonating with me since um let's see, probably at mile 13 or 14. It's like, okay, I'm catching this. I really think I need to not think about the time. There was a 9 hour time limit to do the run. And what I was concerned with is that I would embarrass myself or somebody have to come look for me after the 9 hour point. And I'm like, I I just finally came to the conclusion before I got to the halfway point, I have to stop thinking that way. I came here to do this run. I actually am capable. It might take more than 9 hours. I don't think so. I was doing the math on the time and all that. I don't think so, but I am here to do this. I've already spent, by the time it was halfway, I'd already over 4 hours on a trail. And it's like, if I'm going to do 4 hours, I might as well do four more. It was over 4 hours by then. So I started the second loop. I got into halfway point. The first thing that someone said to me, which was really encouraging, was, you got plenty of time. Don't worry about it. Let's get you situated. What do you need? Do you need something to eat, something to drink? And the day had started warming up, so I wanted to take my sweats off. So that means I had to take my shoes off, and I had shorts on already, but I wanted to take my sweats off. I had to put them in my bag that was there and make some other adjustments. Had to fill my water, and anyway, I had several minutes at the midway point and did not. By then, I had resigned myself. I am going to do this no matter what. Well, I will tell you that the hills, they didn't seem as bad the second time. Number one, and number two, they were still kicking my butt. And the distance alone was kicking my butt. And I'm just working my tail off and still thinking, wow, this is going to be a tough one. But I never really gave in to it. But I was tired and I was aching and I was hurting. My right hip really hurt. And that does. It's the main thing that goes at mile 8, it had already started hurting. And that's fairly normal for me. And it had been aching then for now 20 miles. So I get to the first aid station, which is, I believe it's 10 or 11 miles from the finish line, or I'm getting close and I'm like, I'm feeling a little discouraged. I just gone another 6 or 7 miles after the midpoint, and it's like, I am going to do this. That is what I've decided, but I need something to motivate me to keep my one foot in front of the other to keep me running when I'm not on a hill walking hard up the hill, then I need to keep something to motivate me to do the running part on the flat, because it would have been easy because my hip hurt just to walk the whole thing and finish at over 9 hours, but finish, yes, but not really feel like I succeeded. So as I was probably a mile from that aid station, I started noticing the terrain because I'd been there once before earlier in the day. It's like, oh, that aid station's coming up. I need to pull up decision number 4 and just start reading through it and just catch something from it. And then I did that. It was an uphill, so I was walking fast, but walking. And what I remember thinking is, I'm not really catching this, but maybe if I get this read to me, this would really be helpful to me. So I started walking faster. It was an uphill trudge, basically up to this aid station. And when I got there, the person, a guy and a gal, came out to me. Right. It was at a tent, and said, "What do you need?" And I said, "Well, I'm gonna grab something to eat here. I'm gonna rehydrate, but what I need is someone to read this to me." And it goes like this. A wise man once said, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Knowing this to be true, I'm taking my first step today For too long, my feet have been tentative, shuffling left and right, more backward than forward, as my heart gauged the direction of the wind. Criticism and condemnation and complaint are creatures of the wind. They come and go on wasted breath of lesser beings and have no power over me. The power to control direction belongs to me. Today, I will begin to exercise that power. My course has been charted. My destiny is assured. I have a decided heart. I am passionate about my vision and future. I will awaken every morning with an excitement about the new day and its opportunity for growth and change. My thoughts and actions will work in a forward motion, never sliding back into the dark forest of doubt or the muddy quicksand of self-pity. I will freely give my vision of the future to others. As they see the belief in my eyes, they will follow me. I will lay my head on my pillow at night, happily exhausted, knowing that I have done everything within my power to move the mountain in my path. As I sleep, the same dream that dominates my waking hours will be with me in the dark. Yes, I have a dream. I have a great dream. I will not apologize for it. Neither will I ever let it go. For if I did, my life would be finished. My hopes and passions, my visions for the future are my very existence. A person without a dream never had a dream come true. I have a decided heart. I will not wait. I know the purposes of analysis to come to a conclusion. I have tested the angles. I have measured the probabilities. I now have made a decision with my heart. I am not timid. I will move now and not look back. What I put off until tomorrow, I will put off until the next day as well. I do not procrastinate. All my problems become smaller when I confront them. If I touch a thistle with caution, it will prick me. But if I grasp it boldly, its spines crumble into dust. I will not wait. I am passionate about my vision for the future. My course has been charted. My destiny is assured. I have a decided heart. With tears in my eyes, one of the gals at the aid station she said, I want to high five you. And as she came over to give me a high, I said, no, 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 I need to hug you and tell you that you got this. And this is a 3 minute or plus read. And I think it affected them possibly as much as it affected me. But I will tell you, the next 2 miles were easier, the next 2 or 3. And I had no doubt, period, that I was not only going to finish, but I was going to finish well before the time. And by the way, I finished at 8 hours and 16 minutes. Next time, I think I would do better. I would train for hills and I would understand the course better. But I would do better. And I would go a little bit more solo and do my pace instead of being worn out by others' pace, which is also a good thing in realizing that passion, that drive in our own heart. All right. So here's something else to finish this out. And this is going to take a little bit longer than even reading that. It's entitled Eliminating Debilitating Beliefs. And it comes from another book by the same author. Some of the greatest challenges to having a decided heart are that our conscious and unconscious, to have a decided heart, are our conscious and unconscious limiting beliefs. These limiting beliefs often translate into negative talk, negative self-talk, such as, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough, or I can't make it work. Many of these debilitating beliefs are hidden safely away in our conscious mind. They remain destructive to our growth until they're uncovered and understood and dismantled and released. Often simply becoming conscious of the limiting beliefs can help dissolve them. What are the 5 limiting beliefs you have about yourself? It's a good question to ask. People such as Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, Albert Einstein, Richard Branson, Tiger Woods, on and on the list goes, are so extraordinary because they have mastered life on its own terms with decided hearts. With a decided heart, we learn to defy unconventional standards with childlike playfulness. We can actually develop a sense of excitement that triggers action in the face of criticism and rejection, breeding solutions of movement toward what we want instead of what we don't want. Oh, that day, I remember listening to this in my own head and just smiling, like, yeah, 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 I got this. I got this. And it was great. It awakens a burning desire and relentless determination that the odds are stacked against us, which is distilled into one word. The idea of a decided heart is passion. Passion comes from the heart, has nothing to do with the mind. In fact, in times of decision, you might have heard somebody say, the whole thing moved from my head to my heart. That's passion. Passion assists you when you have a great dream. It breeds conviction and turns mediocrity into excellence in everything you do. Passion inspires other people to join your new pursuit. You can set yourself on fire and people will come and watch you burn. Passion helps you overcome insurmountable obstacles. You become unstoppable. Your life becomes a statement. As an example, others will see their futures in your eyes. Joan of Arc was only 17 years old when she led the army of France against the English. One afternoon, as the armies of France were approaching the city, they saw in the distance tens of thousands of soldiers in barricades at every elevation. Joan of Arc told her leaders immediately, "Now, we take them now. Now," she said. The other leaders were horrified of her boldness and passion for winning this battle against seasoned warriors. After all, she was a peasant girl leading a group of men from France. A rebel of men is the way he states it. It's a good way to phrase it. I intend to strike at the heart of the barricade. And then they responded by saying, if you go in, not a man will follow you. And simply, she replied, I won't be looking back. This girl's passion changed the world, changed history. What can you do with the passion of your heart? What is the passion of your heart? Do you even know it? To be honest, I'm still working on it. I am passionate about certain things, life transformation in others, and being a catalyst for that. I am all about that. But the how and the some of the function of that is often foggy based on the positionally where I am, whether it's at a family thing, whether it's in my company. Positionally, it's difficult sometimes to manage that kind of thinking of how does this fit perfectly into what I'm built to do. And I think I'm getting really close at some passion projects, and I'm so happy for that. Often I've been driven a little bit by the wind that my job is to provide for my family. I was passionate about it and still am as I look out into my family's future. But what is my passion regarding them, regarding great great grandchildren that I have never met? Grandchildren and great grandchildren and great great grandchildren that I've never met, and then the generations beyond them. What am I going to pass to them? That is what I'm passionate about. But how does that work out today? I can be passionate about that and be a grumpy guy that no one wants to be around. I won't be liked, therefore I won't pass on anything worthwhile. And it's not about being liked is not the issue. It's about being the kind of grandpa that the grandson or daughter will want to sit on your lap and enjoy a longer than normal period of time sitting still because they're sitting on someone that they know has a passionate love for them and that they're safe there, that there's peace in that place. My wife and I do provide that for our grandchildren, and it's a blessing. But as I think about my passion and what I need to do, I think about greatness and what God has created in my life and in my world to be great at, not just the things I do, but the being on the inside. Last week, I was really mad about something and it lingered for a while. I woke up many times during that night and was in the same spot. And what hasn't happened every time in the past is for me to go to scripture and have that question of how do I get justice in this situation? How do I not be so angry? Whatever it is, whatever the actual question was in the day, in the moment, I haven't always been able to go to scripture and find that, but I did that day. I've also been given a vision, which I rarely get visions. I was given a picture of something, and some people get those all the time, but I do not. And now I have something, and it's part of deciding, having a decided heart that my search for wisdom, which is in scripture and in those that know scripture, those that have gone before me in searching wisdom, those are the ones in seeking wisdom that I will listen to them. I will listen to scripture and I will listen to those who know it better than me. And that is a privilege. And it worked. It worked last week. I want to tell you that that is one of the roads to greatness. One of the pathways, one of the triggers that triggers greatness is knowing wisdom. Wisdom, knowledge is great, but the connection to the heart and the whole picture is where wisdom takes knowledge to a whole different level. So anyway, that's me. That's me just kind of going on and on about some of my personal core values and what I do with them on a daily basis. And do I think I succeed every day? No, I don't think I do. And yet I've seen the pathway. I've seen it work. So can you be great? Yes. Can I be great? Yes. I have to seek the right things. I have to seek actual greatness. Solomon, the wisest man in the world, and this is not reportedly the wisest, this is biblical, this is what's been said about him, and to this day, still the wisest man in history, was also per capita the richest man in the world, and probably would be to this day because he had wisdom. So if I want to live a full, wonderful, quality life, I need wisdom. I need to seek it. I need to find it. And so do you. That is the pathway to greatness, is that wisdom. Anyway, on and on I go, right? So what I finish everyone with this quote by Zig Ziglar that puts a capstone on what we've talked about greatness, about accomplishment, about passion. You were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. Go think about seeds. They need to be planted in a soil that is fertile. You have the seeds of greatness. You just need to plant them in your soil. Just make sure your soil is fertile. Now let's go, people. Let's go be great.